Beautiful business owners, this is Mentor Shelley, HR Consulting, here to talk to you guys today about keeping it as real as possible when it comes to what your business needs. We're going to be discussing today let's get real. Prevention is almost always less expensive than recovery, or the old school saying, prevention is better than cure. But I don't know if you're familiar with that colloquialism, but we're going to jump in 2.2 seconds. All right, guys. Stay tuned. Mentor Shelley Consulting. Let's build your next level of success together. All right, so we are going to jump right in here and get things moving. What we are going to talk about today, let's get real. Prevention is almost always less expensive than recovery. So we want to make sure that you have what you need. And let's see here. Let's get you over to that. So, business owners, with business, you cannot get away from the reality of the situation versus what you want it to be, what you wish it could be, but we're going to get real. And in my Let's Get Real series here, most business owners don't think about HR until something goes wrong. An employee files a complaint, a manager makes a costly mistake, or an attorney sends a letter that has you wondering, what do I do now to fix this? By then, you're no longer investing in prevention. You're paying for recovery, and recovery is going to almost always cost you more, infinitely more. We don't want those kind of problems, do we? No, we don't. So let's start paying attention to what it is that we can do to be on the preventative side of the house versus recovery. Number one, the most expensive business decisions are usually preventable. And here's what I've learned after 21 years in human resources. Most business problems don't happen overnight. They start small. One undocumented conversation, we should not be having those in business. One outdated policy, we can prevent that by keeping our policies up to date and compliant with employment and business laws in your state and federally. One untrained manager, which can be fixed with a particular training program and having it documented that they were properly trained so the accountability can remain. One inconsistent decision. It is important to follow a process with your decisions. Business owners rarely plan for these moments, but guess what? Whether you plan for them or not, you're either going to pay to prevent them from happening, or you're going to pay for the repercussions of them happening. Number two, hidden costs that nobody has budgeted for, right? When businesses think about risk, they usually think about attorney's fees. That's only part of it, folks. Attorney fees are also sometimes tied to compliance fees through the particular government entity that may have caused this problem. Recovery can often come from lost productivity, employee turnover, as I said, government investigation, which leads to government fines, reputation damage, and legal expenses. Legal expenses is just the tail end of it and legal expenses are different from compliance fees and penalties that you may experience depending on what kind of hidden cost you uncover. One preventable issue can consume months of your leadership's team time and resources. Number three, prevention looks different than most people think, but it's important to understand what the prevention is giving you. It's about creating better. I know you hear this word all the time in business, systems, right? When you're talking about Six Sigma or you're talking about lean management systems, it's about creating better systems to prevent you from getting to that level where you have to be paying for the cure, not the prevention. It means managers who know how to lead consistently. They do have to be trained. Policies that reflect today's workplace, not the workplace of 10 years ago or before COVID or before a lot of these laws changed within the last year or two. There's been a lot of changes in some of our federal laws and some state laws. It is important as a business owner for you to either research and keep up with that or hire a professional that can help you get that sorted. Okay. Documentation that supports your business decisions. Do you have a process in place to help? And do you have processes in place to make sure your documentation is solid? Hiring and onboarding processes that reduce risks. Those are things that we're going to touch on in a little bit. HR practices that helps that grows with your company. So as you add to your numbers, you want to make sure that your compliance is matching with that as well, and it does not fall short. Strong businesses don't hope they'll avoid problems. They prepare so they do not have to run face deep into a compliance issue that is going to cost them a lot of money. Number 4, ask yourself these questions. As a business owner, if one of these things happened tomorrow, the area right now, an employee filed a discrimination complaint, a government agency popped up at your business location and requested employee records, a key employee resigns and all of the knowledge base that they have goes out the door with them, right? A manager terminated someone without any documentation. Would your business be prepared documentation wise or otherwise? Do you have processes and systems in place to be able to defend yourself as a business in the court of law? If you'd be scrambling to fix any of these issues, folks, you are in trouble. If you have to do any kind of scrambling or you get a sick feeling in the pit of your stomach as a business owner, your prevention is not in place. You're going to have to pay for recovery. I hate to say it that way, but this is the Let's Keep It Real session, is it not? All right. Now, it's always best to know where you are so you know where you need to go next. Number 5, protect what you've built. If you do not have systems in place, folks, you will not have any prevention. If you don't have any preventative systems in place, how are you going to protect what you've built? You didn't spend years building your business just to let preventative HR issues put you at risk. One of the smartest investments you can make isn't waiting until something breaks. You're going to be in recovery mode and it's going to cost you 2, 3, 4, 5 times more. It's identifying where you're exposed today. And that's why every engagement that I, as a 20-year professional in human resources, starts with the HR liability exposure assessment. What is it? In that assessment, in your liability HR exposure assessment, we identify hidden risk, prioritize what needs attention right now that you can fix, and we also help you to build the infrastructure that protects your business before small problems become expensive, litigated type problems. Okay, this assessment first approach is the cornerstone of Mentor Shelley Consulting methodology because prevention is significantly less costly than reacting after a claim, an investigation, or a formal complaint with a government entity or a leadership crisis becomes a huge problem for you. You're on the risk side of things. So before we even get to, oh my goodness, let's start with the assessment. Let's have a conversation first. The businesses that spend the least on recovery are usually the ones that have invested most in prevention. As we say, the old school saying, prevention is better than cure. Hope isn't protection. Preparation is. So if you're not sure where your business is most vulnerable, let's find out before a government entity come knocking at your door, or you get a letter that you have an EEOC charge, or you get a complaint that, oh, I was discriminated against, or you get an ADA flag and you have a government entity, or you have USCIS coming to check out if you have your I-9s together. You don't want any of those issues. So before you have a government entity knocking at your door or sending you a formal letter where it's going to cost you money to even address it, let's start with the HR discovery call. Together we can identify your biggest HR and business risk exposures, strengthen your people system, and create a practical roadmap that protects your business as it grows. Let's remember, guys, the best time to fix an HR problem is before it becomes an HR problem, because prevention costs a whole lot less than a cure or a recovery will ever be. Prevention isn't an expense. It is one of the smartest investments you can make as a business owner to protect your business that you've worked hard to build, and you do not want to give it away or make the wrong decisions and put all of what you've worked for at risk. Go ahead and schedule some time so we can discover where you are, so we can point you in the right direction to do the proper preparation for your business. All right, guys, this is Mentor Shelley, wanting to make sure that your business remains protected and you are making the right decisions to keep it that way. All right, guys, take care. This is Mentor Shelley signing off. You have a good one.